you sew and you love sewing, it's just something about the patterns and the fabric and the notions, you know, that stuff is dear to you. At least that's the way I am. Hey, 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 it's Terry, Virginia's daughter, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm excited, actually, a little bit excited to share with you a plan that I have for reducing my pattern stash. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but I have bought patterns over the years, like lots and lots of patterns. I still have some, I got rid of a lot, and it's just high time that I got rid of the stuff that I don't need, because while the clutter may be organized, it's still taking up quite a bit of space. And to be honest with you, I just can't justify having that many patterns. I'm never going to sew that many sewing patterns. Now, how many do I have? I don't know. But I have begun a process to eliminate them. Not eliminate, let's just say reduce. I don't want to eliminate them all, but I've begun a process to reduce them. And I want to share that with you in case you're in the same situation that I am, or even a similar situation, then we can do this together. So as many of you may know, and some of you may not know, last year I embarked upon a huge project. So I had a huge, I say had, because slowly but surely it's dwindling down. I had a huge unfinished project collection. Collection makes it sound like a good thing, doesn't it? But that's what I call it. I was led to complete those projects, and that's what I've been doing. I think I've completed my 37th project. I have 38, 39, and 40 to complete, and they're almost done. So that video will be coming out soon. As I've taken on this project, it's opened my eyes and my mind to so many other things that's going on down here in my sewing lab. And one of them is my pattern collection. Now, in my last video, I talked about how that's an older project. I think the skirt from that video was like a 2010 pattern. And I was talking about just how cute that stuff really still is. I don't really buy a lot of new patterns. I don't buy patterns at all. I talked about that in the video too, but the fact that I don't buy any more patterns and I have all of these patterns, it's just time to do something with them. And speaking of my last video, I remember that I think it's Kindred Creative Corner made a comment that some things that I had said in the video really resonated with her and she could relate to them. And then in her comment, she said something to me and I'm like, I can resonate with that. So we really are kind of kindred at the moment because, the energy that was going back and forth, it's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. And the one thing that she brought up was that, whenever she sees new patterns or different pattern releases or whatever, she can always think of something in her stash that could really get her that if she really wanted it. And same here. And you might be the same too. You never really have to buy another pattern. I'm beyond the point that the pattern is only $1.99. Really. That's how I got into this. Patterns are cheap. You buy them, but if you never use them, is it a waste of money? If you got 200 patterns that were 99 cents, you're not doing anything with. I'll let you do that math. You know what I mean? So anyway, I've decided to take on this project and I'm going to share it with you. Of course, I'm still going to keep doing my unfinished projects. We got to get that done. Recently, I did a poll that said, how many unfinished projects do you have? And most of the people who answered the poll, their projects fall less than 20. And I was like, I'm gonna get there. It's not gonna be long. I'm gonna be able to say that and then it'll be down to nothing. So let's get into my plan for reducing my pattern stash. What I did last week was let me go back. So initially when I used to buy patterns, I used to bring them home and I would have these little boxes and little totes that I'd keep them in, kind of like they do in the fabric store where it would be by brand and then by number, in numerical order. And then as I started buying more and more patterns over the years, I just went to a chest of drawers. Nothing special, just a regular chest of drawers that you would use in a bedroom. I think I may have gotten it at a thrift store, probably 36 inches wide or so. And I would have the patterns stored 3 rows in each drawer by brand, kind of the same way as, you do it in the fabric store. Several years ago, I came across a couple of sewists and dressmakers who had this system where they would take the pattern envelope and put it in this, document protector put this in a binder by category, jacket, brand, whatever, numerical, however you chose to do that. But this would be separate. So this would be in a binder. And then you would take the contents of the envelope, which would be, of course, the instructions and the pattern tissue, and place it in an envelope, something like this, and then just file these the same way you would, So I did that for a little while, maybe a little bit longer than a little while. But for the most part, I couldn't commit to that process because it worked for a while and then it didn't work anymore. Then what happened was I had this chest of drawers with this system and some binders, and I still had patterns like in different pockets, whatever I could find to like kind of store them in. So I just decided, this is somewhat ridiculous. I could be more organized, but the bottom line is I don't need all these patterns. And so what I did last week was I took all of these binders upstairs. I took the loose patterns that I had, or the patterns that weren't involved in this system, I should say, not included in this system. Took them all upstairs to my office. And you could have seen me. I should have had a picture of that or something. I'm sitting on the floor and I have all of these patterns all over the place. And I separated them by year, some by decades. And there were some years that I'm like, of course, when the pattern was released, it doesn't mean that I purchased it that year, but I bought a lot of like 2015, 2013, I think 2018 patterns. I don't know. Once I separated them, then I pulled this envelope to pair them back. So I kind of put them back together because what I need to do is I want to take inventory of the patterns. So I want to see if the pattern pieces are all there. I want to see if it's uncut, what the condition of the patterns are, because that's going to help me to determine how I dispose of them. I will put them into one of 4 categories. The first one will be to sell. These are the patterns that are in excellent condition. They are factory folded. They are just tip-top shape if they haven't been cut. If they have been cut, they're in excellent condition. All the sizes are there and all the instructions are, nice and crisp. So something I'd want to buy. There was a time that I would buy patterns and come home and cut them out. Because I just felt like that week I was going to get some stuff done and never got to it. So the pattern may be cut out, but it's never been pinned to fabric. To me, those are in excellent condition. So I'll take inventory and I'll see. The ones that I feel like are worthy of being sold, I'm going to sell them. Now, guess what? If people are selling patterns online, I can too, right? You can too. So, we all can sell patterns online because here's the thing. They're taking up space in my sewing lab, not really doing anything, just kind of taking up space. They could take up space online, Squarespace, Shopify, Etsy or whatever it is, and potentially earn me some money so I could recoup a little bit of that money back. I ain't trying to get rich. Now, if I do get rich, I won't be mad about it, but you know what I mean. That's the first category. The second category, of course, would be to donate. Now, I have purchased patterns at thrift stores before, and I know the type of pattern that I would buy at a thrift store. That would be the only kind that I would donate to a thrift store. So in other words, all the pattern pieces are there. It could have been used. I could have, cut it 3 times, but the pattern pieces are there, the instructions are there, everything is legible. It might be a little writing on a pattern or on an envelope. I wouldn't mind that if I purchased it from a thrift store because it doesn't affect, how I can cut the garment out and construct the garment. So if the pattern pieces are torn up, you can't cut out, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to be able to cut out an accurate project. If you can't read the instructions, unless you just really want to be challenged by that, you're not going to buy a pattern without instructions. I wouldn't. So if I wouldn't buy it in a thrift store or wherever I decide to donate it, I won't donate it. The third category is to pitch it. Just get rid of it. Missing pieces in the pattern. I have a bag, like a huge gallon plastic bag, freezer bag or whatever with loose pattern pieces. Does anybody else have that? I try to match them up, but it never ends up where I match up. It never ends up where I match up every single piece. You know what I mean? I have dwindled them down. The bag was like poked out with, loose pattern pieces, but I've dwindled it down. You can't use it. Just get rid of it. Should have gotten rid of it a long time ago. Some of the pattern pieces, I have a really hard time like folding stuff back up and putting it in. Sometimes I'll just shove it in there. Guilty. I'm not going to iron a pattern before I try to sell it or try to donate it. I'll just throw it away. And I'll tell you what really opened me up to that was finishing my unfinished project. Some of those patterns that I had, I'm like, I'm not gonna keep this, I'm not gonna donate it. At the time, selling wasn't on my mind. I wasn't thinking about that. I just pitched it. And by me doing that, it opened me up to, being able to pitch them. Because, when you sew and you love sewing, it's just something about the patterns and the fabric and the notions, and, that stuff is dear to you. At least that's the way I am. But there does come a time when you do have to separate yourself from it somehow. And so that's what I'm in the process of doing. And then, of course, the last thing is to keep. My goal is to only keep what I really love. Also, if something is too big or too small and I can't use it, then I'm going to get rid of it. I got some size 10s. If I get back in a 10, I'll buy another pattern if I want to, but I probably won't have to. I will tell you that probably from Virginia's stash, I will probably keep all the patterns that I can wear. I'm just saying, there's like this sentiment that's there that I will probably keep those. And as I share some of the patterns with you, which is my goal, then you'll see what I'm talking about. So yes, that is the plan that I have for my patterns. And I wanted to call it like a pattern project or the pattern project. I think I like the pattern project better because it is a project. When I started doing that, I was like, okay, Terry, you're going to have to commit to this and follow it all the way through. And in that vein, there's some things that I have to do. There's some details that I have to work out with how to sell it online. So there's some learning that I have to do there. And I will share all of that with you because guess what? If I learn it and you can use it, I'll pass it on to you. So yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to, take on this project. Hopefully all is going well for you. Thank you again for all of the people who comment and engage and just keep coming back. I appreciate you. And remember, if I can do it, you can do it too. Until next time, take care.